Hey, what's up, guys? So, one thing that I realized after creating the course I forgot to mention was how to increase your eBay limits if they aren't huge right off the bat. I think I mentioned in one of the setup videos, like you might need to call eBay, but I didn't really give any detailed information on exactly what you need to do to increase your limits up to the point where you can actually like use your account. Because, for your account to work very well, you are probably going to want to do at least like 1,000 items, and if each of those items costs 25 bucks, then you're going to need $25,000 and 1,000 items available as limits on your account, or it's not going to work out super well. So anyway, this article by DropSource is super good, and it's basically exactly what I would recommend on increasing your limits. Now, one thing that can be really confusing for people is when you buy the 1,000-item eBay store, that doesn't mean that your limits on your eBay account are then increased to that much. You know, your limits on your eBay account, what eBay will let you sell, is completely separate from the store that gives you the insertion credits, basically. So even if you have a 1,000-item store, if you don't have 1,000 items that your account is allowed to list, then you can't really use it. Now, it's usually super easy, and it's not really something to worry about. It's just kind of a pain. So let me just read this article really quick. So increase your eBay limits. I'll also link this up in the thing, so you can click on that if you want. So there are several ways to get your eBay account limits raised. The first and easiest is to switch your eBay account from a personal account to a business account. Remember, I showed that in the video, how to switch your account from personal to business, and then they've got a link here that you can click to do that. Sometimes your limits will be increased automatically, sometimes they won't be. Yeah, that's very true. I usually say go for like, they'll show you, what's the value of the items that you're planning on selling? Is it, this to this, this to this, this to this, and whatever the lowest end of the range is the amount that they'll actually give you if they approve you for it. So I think they have one that's like, it's like $50,000 to, I don't remember, $100,000, something like that. So that's the one that I recommend choosing, because then they'll probably give you limits of like 50,000 starting off. I think that's the right one. Just make sure that the lowest number on your limits, on that range that they show, the lower number is okay if that's what you actually get. You may be able to push it, but I don't know if, going too high like triggers something. I'm not sure. Anyway, so let me get back to reading this. So sometimes your limits will be increased automatically, sometimes they won't be. Yep. If that doesn't work, the other option is to call eBay and simply ask them to increase your limits. And then, let's see, yeah, of course, well, to DropSource, they're usually getting 1,000 items plus, so you're going to need at least as many limits to be able to do it. 1,000 items and $25,000 used to be standard on accounts. That used to be like what they would just come with when you got them. Well, at least at one point in eBay history. When eBay first started out, there were no limits, and the account could list as much as you want, and then they've been sort of cracking down more and more. I think the normal amount now, if you're a brand new account, is like 10 items and like, I don't even remember, I think $1,000 and 10 items or something. It's ridiculously low. But this is like the old limit, and it's pretty dang easy to get yourself back up to there. So let me continue here. Some reps will give you a hard time, others will do it right away. It just depends on the person. They'll always tell you different stories saying, oh, we can't increase your limits because we've already given you an increase this month, or sorry, your account's too new. Very, very true. The eBay reps always lie, and they always say, oh, we can only do that once a month. Oh, we can't do that. I even had one rep tell me and give me this elaborate story. Oh, well, if you're going to keep calling back to try to, increase your limits, instead of waiting 30 days, wait 40 days before calling, because then we can give you a bigger increase. It's all fake. It's all BS. It's not real. Pretty much any rep that has the ability to increase your limits, which is most of them, any rep that has the ability to increase your limits can do it, at whatever point they want. It's not anything set. They'll act like it is, but really they're just making stuff up and telling it to you. And I know it can be convincing. I believed them for the longest time because, I've been selling on eBay for years. Dropshipping wasn't the first, thing I was doing on eBay. I was selling on eBay for years. I was calling in every single month to see if I could get an increase, and I slowly worked my account up to having pretty decent limits. And then later I just found out, wait a minute, they're totally making stuff up, because people, over time caught them contradicting each other and stuff. But anyway, yeah, so let me continue reading this. Just basically whatever they tell you is almost guaranteed a lie. You can just call, and you just have to find somebody that's going to help you. They're not supposed to increase your limits too much, but the main thing that they care about is knowing that you can handle your orders, because they don't want you to grow too fast and stuff like that, because that could cause problems, and they don't want buyers to have issues and not get their orders because you got too many sales you couldn't fill, yada yada. Anyway, so let's see here. It's important to note that these excuses are entirely made up. Yes, I was just saying that eBay reps are able to increase your limits at any time. If the rep is giving you trouble and says they can't raise your limits, the best course of action is to just just say, oh well, thanks anyway, and then immediately call back and get somebody different. Keep on doing this until someone raises your limits. Yeah, it usually doesn't take that many tries. I can usually get it, in the first try, second try, something like that. But sometimes you'll have somebody that's like really jerky, and I've had people just, being like, oh, well, we can't do that. We can only, blah, 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 blah. And I also had one time I called in and they're like, oh, we can only up your items to, I think it was like, I was calling and my limits were like 10. They're like, oh, we can increase you to like 50. And that's the most we can do. And I was like, man, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And I've tried arguing with them, but it just doesn't work. It never works. Yeah, just get off the phone. This is good advice. Whenever you're like super nice and, the person's friendly, it usually goes really well, but sometimes you can just tell the person doesn't want to help you, and if they don't want to help you, then they're not going to help you, so just, get off the phone, get to a different rep. Yeah, so the friendlier you act, the more likely they are to help you. Usually takes less than 3 calls to get your limits where they want. Yeah, even on brand new accounts, yep. Okay, and so here's an example phone call. eBay automated system. Hi, welcome to eBay. Just so you know, we may record and listen to this call. And then you say, I need to speak to an eBay representative. Repeat this until you're transferred. Yeah, it actually, usually their automated system is a little bit longer. I usually say like listing limits or something like that, and it'll say, it'll take a second. It'll say like, hey, your listing limits are blah, 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 blah. Is that all you needed? And it'll say that they can't be increased at this time, the automated system, or but that's, of course, not true, and then you just say, I need to speak to an eBay representative. So a little critique there, I guess, for this, but you usually have to, want to get to the listing department first. And then you want to speak with a representative, and you'll get transferred to one. Representative will ask for your first and last name, and then you give it to them. What can I help you with today? I'm looking to get my selling limits increased. Okay, I'm sure we can help with that. They might transfer you. Yeah, so yeah, I guess if you're not already at the seller, the listing limits department, then maybe they'll transfer you, but that's why I would say just go to the listing limits department right off the bat, and then they'll ask why you need an increase and where do you get your items. Now, this is the hardest question because you kind of have to BS a little bit. Now, let me just, I guess, read here. The purpose of this question is to figure out if you're selling items that you own or if you're drop shipping. Deny drop shipping if they ask, of course. eBay reps often have a bad impression of drop shippers and will not help them. Yeah, so eBay has a drop shipping policy and they are like not allowing drop shipping anymore. So it used to be perfectly like legit and on board and everything, and then recently they changed the rules just overnight and are like, oh, drop shipping, you can't do that anymore. So that's a little bit frustrating, but we just can't openly be like, hey, we're drop shipping to eBay because they'll get mad at us and give us issues and stuff like that. So let's see here. Yeah, so don't say that you're drop shipping. Say, I'm cleaning out my basement and selling my old blank collection. I already subscribed to the 1,000 item store. Yes, that's another trick that I like to use, is subscribing to the store while my limits are really low, and then trying to use that as leverage to get them to actually increase my limits. Because if they won't do it, then we can, be on the phone for 30 minutes or something like that, and just, get refunded for this store. Absolute worst case, but I've never had that happen. It's just a nice thing to be like, oh, but I'm already paying, and that, will make them want to help you a little bit more usually, or at least that's my thinking. So yeah, but if you don't have anything listed, I'm selling my old whatever collection, act like you're, cleaning out your garage or something and you've got a whole bunch of stuff to sell, and that's why that is a good play there, because then they're not going to be wondering where your items come from, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, again, if they're like, are you drop shipping? Are you, it's like, just, nope. Nope, make something up, Have a plan before you call. Okay, so let's see. Rep may want to verify some information, phone number, address, zip code. eBay representative, okay, great. Let's see what we're able to do. I'm able to increase your limits to, and then you jump in and cut them off. Yep, that works well, because if you let them tell you, it's sometimes a really tiny increase. Sometimes it's what you want, but it's usually a tiny increase. So if you can sort of be like, usually whatever they say, they'll claim that it's the max their system will let them apply for your account. So if you can sort of jump in and tell them what you want before they tell you the exact number that they're going to give you, that can help, because if they've already told it to you, then you're going to have a harder time getting those, exactly what you want. So you jump in and cut them off. 1,000 items, $25,000. Yep. I've got like around 800 whatevers in my collection that look like they're going to sell for around $35 average. So if we could do that, that'd be great. Oh yeah, I guess we could do that. Let me go ahead and put it in. There we go. Changes should take effect in 15 minutes. Yes, yep. Sometimes people will even like tell you that they gave you a limit increase or that you might not see a limit increase, but they'll see if they can evaluate it in 24 hours or something like that. And that's just them dodging you, and not being very helpful. It doesn't happen often, but I have had that happen before where they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll see if we can evaluate it in 24 hours." They're just trying to get you off the phone. When they change your limits, they look at it immediately, change your limits, and it usually goes through about immediately, and they tell you it's going to take 15 minutes. So, yeah, awesome. Thanks so much. Da da da. Yep. So yeah. So if you get a limit increase here, say you're at 10 items and you get up to 100 items, that's all they'll do. They say that's the maximum. Just thanks. Get off the phone. Hang up. Call back, and you'll get somebody else, and they'll say that you've got 100 items, and they'll just increase it to 500, or just keep going, keep hanging up and calling back until you get up to 1,000 items, $25,000, or whatever limits you need, and you will be good. Let's see what else here. Yes, this is how it should go in ideal situations. Sometimes they say maybe only can increase two. Yep, yeah, I sort of went over that already. eBay reps lie and lie about the limit increases. Oh, yes. So, and then the other method is stair-stepping your limits up. So that's where you sort of say, they're like, oh, no, I'm sorry, we're not able to increase your limits at all. You can say, all right, well, could you just increase my items limit or my dollar limit? You pick one of them and just act like that's the only reason that you're calling. And sometimes they'll be like, oh, well, I guess if you don't want your dollar limit increased, we can increase your total number of items. Or, vice versa. Oh, well, I guess we can't increase your number of items, but we can increase your dollar limit. That can be a way to do it, and then you can just sort of go back and forth. But like I said, this is just sort of all the tactics that are useful. Usually it's really easy to sort out in 1 or 2 calls. Yeah, and then this looks like Ecom Tom's video on him doing it. Yep. Cool. Yeah, so that's basically how you can get your limits increased, and should be pretty simple, pretty easy for you.